come to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. When William Ruto was sworn in, the dominant narrative was Raila Odinga is supposed not to play the opposition politics, and his DNA was not meant to criticize any government. And after that, there was that silence. Raila Odinga took a very strategic silence. But what changed? Because there is a tweet by Senator Charargei, Kiprotich Arab Charargei, I want to believe this is the Nandi senator, that seems to be saying something different. Raila won in all opinion polls and no one is in contest about it. That is what is confusing him, but he should know that he lost in the elections. Accepting polls outcome is not favor he is doing to anyone. He should accept appointment by His Excellency Ruto while still viable. But which kind of appointment is the senator talking about while William Ruto, attending an event, I think in Naivasha, insisted that he needed his government to have an opposition that will check the excesses, and he actually vowed not to appoint any opposition politician in government. So, is someone going for Raila Odinga's signature, or rather trying to look for Raila Odinga's signature for legitimacy? It's a question that when I read this tweet and I saw people have been reacting to that tweet. Apparently, the senator is responding to Raila Odinga's statement yesterday that he accepted the results because the country was going at a crisis. And of course, that is a statesman and did not want the country to play into violence. He actually stated that. And to what the senator is saying, he seems to be insinuating that behind the scene, there is a powerful force that they are feeling by Raila Odinga's denial to accept the results. But before we go further, I wanted to listen to William Ruto vowing when addressing parliamentarians that he would not appoint any opposition politician into government.
We believe that the efficiency of any government is also dependent on how much we are kept on our toes. So I want to tell our good friends on the other side of the political divide, welcome to your oversight role. We are ready to be accountable as a government, because that will make the people of Kenya get value for every commitment we make, every shilling we spend, and every plan we roll out. We have accepted that we are not going to appoint any member of the opposition into government because we want a vibrant opposition. We want an opposition that will keep government in check, because we have nothing to hide and we want to run an accountable government.
This is information that has been out, that allegedly there is a plan by William Ruto to hand over Raila Odinga's special docket on devolution, and try to frame it as the father of devolution, as he and maybe it's more of an oversight, or I don't know how it is, but it's something on devolution, and that is why that devolution was actually left out. That's why that ministry was actually left out. But you understand that the roles of devolution are under the office of Rigathi Gachagua, and in the spirit of trying to reduce one man takes it all, they all plan to hand over a Raila Odinga special role on matters of devolution, because he is actually touted as the father of devolution. That is already a conversation that, if you speak to people, you will bump on it, and if you also read, you'll bump on that. I don't think that Raila should take up any role in Ruto's government, at least not in Ruto's government. Then, but again, this is politics. You cannot be shocked. From this tweet, there is no doubt that something is happening. Kindly subscribe to our channel. If you're watching for the first time, click the notification bell so that when we publish our videos, you will always get notification and you will get understanding of what we are doing. The senator is simply saying that William Ruto is reaching out to Raila Odinga. But so is it true that people who have said that Raila Odinga is, you cannot rule, you need to work him. Even President Uhuru Kenyatta, the former president, when they had the handshake with Raila, and of course William Ruto have really come out to oppose that handshake. But when Raila Odinga had a handshake with the former president Uhuru Kenyatta, it really propelled, and it had a very big input into what Uhuru could achieve. There are a lot of stuff, and in fact, people normally look at it in terms of people normally look at working together, this opposition or competitors working together, as not really advancing democracy. But do you know that if you have a strong criticism, there are a lot of stuff that you cannot do. There are policies that you can even want to introduce, but you cannot. And by then, Raila really took a very big risk. There are things that could not go well, maybe were not well with President Uhuru Kenyatta. But because of that working arrangement, Raila Odinga will not say no. And to some extent, that was the kind of baggage that he had when he was going to the election. Now, Ruto is struggling with the legitimacy. And I just want to ask a very simple question. If I won fairly, and I mean that, I was installed by all the packages, God, international community, everything. If I won fairly, and I believe that Raila Odinga is not doing any favor, and about Raila Odinga accepting results is not my problem, then why should I look for him? And I'm not saying, and what I'm simply saying here is this, that you can dismiss Raila Odinga, but you cannot dismiss the fact. You can dismiss the name Raila Odinga, but you cannot dismiss the fact that he also have almost 50% of support in the country, nearly half. And I've seen politicians trying to reduce the Azimio and Raila team as more of a Nyanza affair. Even if you look at that tweet, people are talking about Raila is more than Nyanza. It's more than Nyanza. So that is one thing that is seen here, that Ruto is simply trying to struggle with legitimacy, and he's looking for Raila's blessings, whether he will receive them or not. But then Kenya Kwanza are also afraid of opposition. When the senator is saying that Raila is not doing Kenyans any favor by accepting results, and he should take any position while still viable, I don't know what is that provision still viable. And if he's to be appointed, so Raila's name is supposed to be taken to parliament and vetted. So the viability, is it in terms of time? That he can only get it at this specific time, or what is it? I'm really struggling to understand that aspect of viability. Is it in terms of time, or is it in terms of what? Now, but when you go for Raila, you simply want to deflate what will be an opposition. And do you know why that is? That will be his William Ruto will go after that, because I think after coming to government, they've realized that election pledges at the campaign trail and reality in the government are miles apart. And because of that, they stand a lot of they stand public hostility with the public, where a lot of unmet pledges might come their way. And with that, if you have a vibrant opposition that will keep on reminding Kenyans about it, I can tell you that subsequent election will really be a big hurdle for you. because this is it. So he has realized that yes, Raila Odinga might not be going to the ballot, but the voice of Raila is very powerful. Like now, Raila might not, and I want to believe he's not going to vie again, even though that is just my opinion. But the voice of Raila reminding Kenyans that look here, Kenya Kwanza government promised this and they have not delivered. This promised they have not delivered. That line is what William Ruto is trying to avoid. When it comes from people like Kalonzo Musyoka, I listened to Kalonzo Musyoka's press briefing, and after that, I was looking at the media coverage. Honestly, it was not covered well. And if the media wants to do opposition a favor, then they should just cover opposition as the government. And opposition in this case should not only be Raila. Even if Kalonzo or Matakaro, if someone is talking, I think they should get that coverage. I felt Kalonzo Musyoka did not get that coverage. Maybe he still doesn't have the clicks, and media is driven by the clicks. So he still doesn't have the clicks. Most importantly, you can see that Kenya Kwanza are afraid of that opposition because Ruto already is, Ruto is very schemy. And he has already realized that with Raila Odinga sitting back, things might not be so much rosy on his end. But Raila has been keeping silent. So the silence unsettles Ruto. Let me tell you why. When Raila is silent about all these things happening, and the rest of the team and the other compact majority, the other people, handlers speaking, Kalonzo Musyoka wailing and speaking about that, his silence is very little. It's very little because I want you to imagine a situation right now he's silent for some 2 months. Then when he comes back with a bombshell and Ruto has not done this, that silence already shifts attention to him and leaves government to be judged, and he do not want, I've known that politicians normally want to be judged politically. That when something's happening, like now when the Railas, Uhurus are not talking and the way they're quiet, we tend to judge, the public tend to judge the government on merit. And that is what William Ruto will not want. So the silence of Raila, not really picking holes and coming over here and there and not seeing that actively, is something that unsettles him. But when you give him an appointment or you come bring him close to you, maybe you can find a way to manage issues around. But then, I don't know, but someone wants Raila to retire from politics. Ruto's longest way to 2 terms is Raila Odinga retiring from politics. Not longest, shortest way. He's already known, and I can tell you that he's already known that the difference between William Ruto and Raila Odinga in 2022 was around 20,000 votes, and those votes were still contested. What does that mean? That maybe they can sit down and have a reality check. Okay, did we win? Was that the gap? Did we really win or this is it? Then if you sit strategically, and I can tell you that if a Kalonzo Musyoka ticket is packaged well, with a very good messaging team to detonate and toxicate William Ruto's supporters by the fact that it is a failed regime, I can tell you that 2027 we can have a very serious contest, and Kenya might go to the history, as Ruto might even go again and andikisha history, first vice president to become president and first president again to serve 1 term. It can be tsunami if someone sustains, and of course that is why William Ruto, by handing over Raila's seat or some appointment, will tactically take him to retirement because he will not then reincarnate and become someone. But again, maybe that is it. But according to Senator Charargei, it seems Raila has refused. Why? I think he's trying to keep his cards close to the chest. I'm not saying Raila is on ballot again, but he's trying to keep his cards close to the chest. And having gone through the handshake of 2017 and now, I think he's received a lot of criticism on this, and of course he will not want, but then will just want to run his politics away from government. Maybe not now. This may take time. And when one of the reasons why William Ruto would go for Raila is to detonate that reforms agenda. Now, there is a strong conversation call for reform of IBC, reform of the Supreme Court and other institutions that is coming. And the reform of IBC, who is the arbitrator, is something, this is the engine. And before Raila knows, when you come, bring Raila, give Raila some devolution seat, and you don't, they are no longer, they will no longer speak about Chebukati, and Chereras will be sacked in parliament and no one will care and move on. And because something that I personally believe that when Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta made the handshake deal, that package needed to have priority number one before even thinking about a BPA was the IBC reforms. Because the fact that this election, this country, people went to election and then went to a rerun, and court made out, casted aspersions on the process, but still they came and never put, and that was one of the blunders, that they never insisted about the IBC reforms. So I want to believe that that is it. That is what might have caused it, and I don't know why William Ruto would go after Raila. And what is the plan? Because you've picked Uhuru, you're going after Raila again, and has Raila refused? But then let me, there is something that I've just kept on there. He should know that he lost in the elections, and accepting Paul's outcome is not a favor he's doing to anyone. So why is Ruto disturbed by the fact that Raila maybe is not accepting the election results? What results are they? Is it true that things, really the victory does not belong to him? That's the question.